It's no secret that America today is in a deep, divisive crisis of truth. And two stories came across my plate today that really reminded me of how bad it is right now. On one side, we have powerful forces rewriting history and changing definitions to suit their radical ideologies. And then on the other, you have people like you and me who are just trying to live everyday life but have to navigate this weird, politically correct DEI utopian brave new world that we found ourselves in. My name is Aaron West. We're going to break down these two stories and see what the real truth is. The first story we have here today is about a young women's high school volleyball team in Europa Valley, California. California volleyball team with trans player stays undefeated in league play, in first place after forfeits. A transgender volleyball player in California has helped lead a girls' high school team to an undefeated start in league play and first place after multiple opponents forfeited matches. Europa Valley High School girls volleyball team improved to 6-0 in league play to cement its place at the top of the River Valley League standings with a win Friday over Robidoux. The win also pushed the team's overall record to a 14-8 on the season. However, 8 of the team's wins, including one of its 6 league wins, came via forfeit. The 8 teams that have forfeited games to Europa Valley this season have not provided a reason, but it is believed that they were in response to trans athlete A.B. Hernandez. And then we have a video here of one of the girls on the team that forfeited, and they're going to go ahead and explain their side of the story. It's a mother and a daughter.
Several girls' high school volleyball teams in California have chosen to forfeit instead of competing against a transgender player. And this is not the first time A.B. Hernandez and Jurupa Valley High School have stirred up controversy. Hernandez also took 2 state girls' titles during the spring track and field season. Let's bring in Alyssa McPherson. She is a senior on the Jurupa Valley High School girls volleyball team, and her mother, Maribel Munoz. Good to see both of you today. Thanks so much for joining us. Alyssa, as we pointed out, you're a senior. You don't have a whole lot of time left to play volleyball in high school. And at last count, if I'm correct, 3 teams forfeited. So that means 3 games you didn't get a chance to play in. What does that mean for your playing career?
Well, actually, it's 5 teams so far that are confirmed. And I just feel like it's so unfair that not only am I missing out on my senior season, but my other teammates, our JV team and our freshman team aren't playing either. And it's just so disheartening that they're not going to have a season. And we just want to be able to compete, play, and have fun.
So, Maribel, what's your position on the school administration standing behind this biological male playing in girls' sports while meantime the team is missing all of these opportunities?
Well, I've complained multiple times to the administration, and they just disregard our feelings, our position, really. I think they just focus more on one particular student versus the many. And that's why we're here. We want the awareness of my daughter and the multiple other girls that are missing out on this opportunity.
Right. Alyssa, is this a safety issue for you, or is it just a fairness issue? Because we all know what happened to that other unfortunate player who took a spike in the head and got a traumatic brain injury.
To me, I feel like this is just a fairness issue. I just want to be able to compete and play and have fun in my last year. And I feel like I got robbed of that. I've been looking forward to it since my freshman year, and I don't have the opportunity to do that this year, and it's just so sad.
If they have all of their local schools within their district drop out from wanting to play sports with them, they're not going to have anyone to play sports with. I mean, this is kind of what this leads to, you know? You have to have some sort of protest if you want change to happen. And this is the type of protest that can result in actual policy change in states like California, where the government is supporting moves like this. You know, these girls are watching their hard-earned opportunities just disappear because of one transgender player within their school district. And that's just not fair. And you heard them mention a serious case of a girl that was spiked in the face by a male volleyball player who was playing on her opposing team. And that girl is still healing from the damage that she took from that hit.
Our next guest is a former high school girls volleyball player who suffered a concussion and a neck injury when a transgender player spiked the ball during a game last fall. Peyton McNabb joins us now to tell us about it. Good morning, Peyton.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. It's nice to meet you. We've heard your story for at least the last year, and we're so happy to have you on. Tell us your story. What happened?
So about a year ago, I was severely injured in a high school volleyball game by a biological male on the opposing team. I suffer from long-lasting effects, including impaired vision, partial paralysis on my right side, memory loss, and much more. I'm slowly recovering, but I'm still in the recovery process.
But you were unable to play your final season, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So obviously it's more than just ideology one way or the other. These schools have to look out for the safety of their students. And that's seen through cases like Stone Ridge Christian High School, where they forfeited a semifinal playoff game against San Francisco Waldorf because they had a trans player on their volleyball team and basketball team. The quote from them is, "We believe in God's word and its authoritative and infallibility. It is the truth. And as Genesis makes clear, God wonderfully and immutably created each person as male or female. We do not believe sex is changeable, and we do not intend to participate in events that send a different message. We also have a duty and responsibility to care for the health and safety of our athletes. So after consulting with our students, coaches, and staff, we have made the difficult decision to forfeit Saturday's game. Standing for biblical truth means more than the outcome of a game." The question at hand isn't simply about inclusion. It's about preserving what's real and what's right. Because if we lose sight of biology and truth, what's really left? When you blend everything into feelings and identity and fairness and justice, everything becomes meaningless. When everything is fair and everything is equitable, nothing holds real value anymore. These females deserve a safe space where they can practice their passion without having to worry about a male taking his pants off in front of them. The female locker room is not meant for biological males. Religious freedoms will dictate this in the future, is my opinion. The more this is an issue with religious people, the more a problem it's going to be for the transgender community. As absurd as it is that we're still debating whether or not trans women or biological men should be in women's sports or not, we have this absolutely ridiculous headline from NBC about the would-be assassin of Brett Kavanaugh from a few years ago. And they write, "Woman sentenced to 8 years for attempting to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh." What's funny is when NBC was still sticking to reality, they went ahead and published this headline here. "Man who had gun and knife will plead guilty to trying to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh." That man, over the past 3 years, has decided that he wants to identify as a woman, and now NBC is holding that as the truth, giving him that title in the headline. And not only that, the anchor here is working his absolute hardest to continue referencing to this person as a female every chance he gets. Let's watch.
We want to get to the headlines right now as we begin this half an hour. The woman who plotted to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh was sentenced to 8 years in prison on Friday. Sophie Roski was arrested near Kavanaugh's Washington home in June of 2022. That's after her attorney says she changed her mind in a taxi while on the way and called 911 to turn herself in. Roski spoke in court Friday, apologizing to Kavanaugh and saying she regretted her actions. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, now blasting the sentence, saying it's not long enough and promising an appeal.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that? They mentioned that person's pronouns as many times as they possibly could to gaslight their audience into believing that the person that attacked Brett Kavanaugh was a female. My only thing is, like, does this fall under the female crime statistics? If there's assassination attempts and originally they were arrested as a man, and then they decide they want to be a woman prior to actually taking the sentence, does that crime get associated with female crime statistics or male crime statistics? I'd be curious to know in this case for sure. Nicholas John Roski of Simi Valley, California, was arrested near Kavanaugh's home in Chevy Chase, Maryland in June 2022. Roski was armed with a gun and a knife, was carrying zip ties, and was dressed in black when he arrived in the neighborhood by taxi just after 1 a.m., federal authorities said. Roski, who was 26 when he was arrested, intends to plead guilty to attempting to murder a justice of the United States without reaching a plea agreement with federal prosecutors, according to his lawyers. The charge carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. And now we're seeing them write, a woman who pleaded guilty to attempting to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh 3 years ago was sentenced Friday to more than 8 years in prison. Sophie Roski, now 29, was arrested near Kavanaugh's home and told justice at the time she intended to kill the associate justice, then herself. This entire article is full of she, her pronouns, and it couldn't be any more outside of the reality that we're living in. At the end of the day, this battle over gender ideology isn't just about words or feelings. It's about the very nature of truth and fairness in our society. When political agendas start to rewrite biology and rewrite reality, and we're living in this weird 1984 universe where doublespeak has changed the definition of basic words in our day-to-day lives, we're risking everything that women and families and men and Americans have fought for decades. This California volleyball controversy and the media's distortion around the Kavanaugh attacker, they're just symptoms of a larger problem. A radical ideology that erases facts, it sows distrust under the guise of progress and compassion. It's a basic attack on our shared values, our institutions, and ultimately on reality itself. If we stand firm to biology, to science, to fairness in women's sports, to honesty, fact-based reporting, no matter how loud the activists are, there's absolutely no way they could shut down our movement. Again, this is Aaron West. Thank you for joining me tonight. Please leave a comment down below, like and share with your friends and family. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye.